Hello, lovelies! This is Jenny from Jenny's Fun Facts. We just want to take a moment to thank you so much, P Eats Meal Preps, for sponsoring our episodes. New menu out every Friday, ordered by Sunday, delivered fresh by Tuesday. And guess what? They deliver to all Montreal surrounding areas as well. Healthy, fresh, and delivered to your door for free. Add them and our podcast on Instagram at p.eats_. P as in Peter, R-E, P as in Peter, S. Thanks, P Eats Meal Preps.
Polyamory. The terms polyamory and ethical non-monogamy are often used interchangeably. Polyamory is most often used to describe having multiple long-term partnerships. Beyond this, the definition of polyamory can vary from person to person. Some polyamorous partnerships aren't sexual or have sexual expressions that vary. Other terms used for non-monogamy have been specifically genderized, like polygamy, which means many wives. Ethical non-monogamy is similar to polyamory.
Hey, and welcome to episode 24. We are so excited you're here to join us, and your constant love and support is so appreciated by us both. A huge thank you to Jenny DeHame, our producer, who makes all this happen, and to my really good friend, my mentor, and my fabulous co-host, Mr. Robert DeLesio. How are you?
What an awesome introduction, the dear co-host Esther Brzezinski. Thank you so much. I'm doing great, and I know you're doing well. We had a chance to talk before we went on the air live. Just in reference today, by the way, guys, this is a very touchy subject, very interesting. As broadcasters, our job is to present things the way they are. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that either or Esther and myself agree or disagree with what we are presenting today. And we want to give a quick shout out to the supplier who has all of our collectible items out there, where you can get our t-shirts, you can get mugs, a whole bunch of collectible items. That's 514brandingco.com. Esther, so happy to be here today with you.
I'm happy as well, Robert. Yes, today's subject is a bit controversial, but it is definitely a relationship style that's out there and exists, and it's called polyamory. So poly means many and amory means love. So it is actually the relationship style of having a mostly romantic relationship with more than one person. Now let's think about the fact that we have many family members that we love. We have many friends that we love, and colleagues, and even pets. So we have the ability to love more than one person in many different aspects of our life. But here, in fact, is where people feel that they can have a romantic relationship, and it's almost always romantic in nature, of more than one person. And it is called polyamory, like I said earlier.
Well, there's also, yes, it's a question of love and all that, but in some cases, it's purely sexual. You have all sorts of, forms of polyamory. You can have a mix, sexual and love, just love alone, or just sexual. It's a very interesting subject. It's as hot as an iron. And
It is.
Folks, as usual, you're very participative.
Oh, we would love it.
We would love to have your thoughts, have you participate on the show today, and let us know exactly how it is that you feel. And don't be shy. Just put it out there, and we can discuss it with you as we're going along. Esther,
absolutely,
we got a lot of mileage to cover today, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yes, Robert, what is polyamory?
Well, polyamory is a relationship style centered on the belief that it is possible to love more than one person. Polyamorous relationships often involve having more than one romantic relationship simultaneously with full knowledge and consent of all partners involved. Polyamory is not cheating. It should not be confused with affairs or infidelity.
Yeah, so in fact, there are 3 core types that we will be discussing. And as we can see from the diagram, there's the couple that we're all familiar with, and there's V, triad, and quad. So the V relationship style is made up of 3 partners and gets its name from obviously the letter V, in which one person acts sort of as the hinge or pivot partner dating 2 people. The other 2 people are not romantically or sexually involved at all with each other.
The triad. A triad is also made up of 3 partners, but it is a relationship in which all 3 partners are romantically and or sexually involved with each other. Triads may be formed when an existing couple opens their relationship and finds a third partner who is interested in them both and whom they are both also interested in.
And finally, we have the quad. A quad is made up of 4 partners who are intimately connected in some way, whether romantically or sexually. A quad can be formed in a multitude of ways, such as a triad, adding another partner. However, quads are often formed with 2 swinging couples connecting, and they begin dating, forming what we know as a quad. So, Robert, let's also discuss what polyamory is not. And this is important for people to understand. Polyamory is not cheating because ideally, and this is almost always the case, everyone is aware of the other partners. Then that is a very, very important point to focus on. Number 2, polyamory is not swinging. Swinging tends to focus on sexual variety and puts less emphasis on emotional intimacy. What polyamory really is more about is emotional intimacy. And it's also not polygamy. So that means the marriage of many, because polyamorous are not always married. And even more importantly, polygamy is almost always about one man marrying a multitude of women. And it's also religious based as well. And in my research, I discovered several celebrities who have been very open about their polyamorous relationships. So there's Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, who have talked about having an open marriage at one point in their lives. So they probably had the V style where they were open to date other people. And then Nico Tortorelli, I believe his name is pronounced. So he's actually in a married relationship that it's also a queer relationship, and they have also sort of a V style. And then there's Willow Smith, who's come out on the Red Table show that her mother has with herself and her grandmother, and openly spoke about her own polyamory style. And she's open to relationships with both men and women. So that's really fascinating to find out.
You know, what can get a little bit complicated in these relationships is that you need a calendar. You need to have planning. So,
That's true. That's true.
You know, Thursday night it's Billy, and Friday it's going to be Carol, and it's going to be Joanne on Saturday. How do you? This is the question I have. How do you actually manage all of this? It's all about timing and managing a calendar, and it can get a little bit exhausting at times. So what do you think, Esther?
So in actuality, from my research, there is a lot of planning involved. There's some of them say, Google Calendar is their best friend. And a lot of times that's what they do. They do make time for each partner, whether it's just the 2 of them or the 3 of them all together. And, there is a lot of planning. There is a lot of openness in terms of talking about their feelings. Sometimes people say, oh, well, they can't be experiencing jealousy. Well, they do, and they talk about it, and they talk about a lot of different things, and it's very important to understand that. And even within the types of polyamory, there's a hierarchy of different relationship styles as well, where let's say it's the main couple and the extra person, and they're handle more the finances and they rear the children. Or there's another style where they're all equal and they all contribute financially and they all take care of the children if they do feel that they want children. And then there's the solo style where it's just one person who, sort of dates many different people. So it's very complicated. But when you are in that relationship, it does take a tremendous amount of planning. Like you said, it's actually not funny. It's the truth. That's very important in how they keep it going. So there's a lot of open talk and there's a lot of planning, and they have a community. So there's a lot of, reach out in that area as well. So they have that.
At some point, it's inevitable. I mean, you can get into one of these relationships, making it very clear from the onslaught. Listen, this is what it is when I have 3 other partners. You're my 4th partner. This is the way it is. Yes, it's consensual, but it's inevitable, because along the lines there, what happens is that you start falling in love with that person, and all of a sudden you may start requesting exclusivity, and knowing full well getting into this relationship, that is very unlikely to happen. That's where some feathers can get ruffled, and that's what some feelings can get hurt.
That is definitely a downside of it, and it can happen, but then you shouldn't be polyamorous. You have to be able and open to the love of more than one person and not have that jealousy. And, it's not for everyone, Robert. It does take a certain type of individual. It does take a certain type of openness, but it does work for some people. And I actually have a little clip from Brute America, and it is about this young throuple, 3 people, a triad actually, and they actually have a wedding ceremony. It's not legal, obviously, but it's spiritual, and it's just a little clip of their life and how they feel about each other. And you even see how the parent of, I believe it's Cassie, and how they feel about their daughter being part of this throuple. So I'm just gonna play that video now. It's really fascinating.
I do.
I'm Dallas, and I'm married to Matt.
I'm Matt, and I'm married to Cassie.
I'm Cassie, and I'm married to Matt.
And I'm also married to Dallas.
I'm also married to Cassie. I'm also married to Dallas. And we're both married to Matt.
We're all married!
We're all married! We're 3 people who are married!
By our powers combined, we are married.
And by our powers combined, all 3 of us are married.
For Brute, I'm taking you to St. Pete in Florida, where I met with Cassie, Matt, and Dallas. They are in their early 20s. They are a polyamorous throuple, and they recently just got married.
She was 17 and I was 16.
Yep.
We wanted to get married from our first date.
Yeah.
I think on our first date we talked about our wedding.
We did.
And we had this whole plan that we were going to get married when we were 20. Mm-hmm. And then Matt came along. And so obviously
that changed.
That's
It's interesting to me that you have such a, I guess, an untraditional relationship, but you did want to keep some traditional elements.
Yeah. Tradition is important to us, I would say.
Some
of them
keep, some retire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have our dads walk us down the aisle.
No, because there was no man giving me away to another man.
No.
I'm happy.
You happy? That's
Yeah.
good.
Very happy. People keep asking me, how's married life? I'm like, it's great, dude.
It's great, dude.
What the fuck?
To me, getting married was always like, if you know you're going to be with someone for the rest of your life, like, you go ahead and you get in front of everybody else and you tell them how much you love them.
Watching you watch the video. I was crying. Not because you were crying, because these are, both our sets of parents have since passed.
Right.
And
they would be so happy.
They
right?
would have been thrilled to death. And
they wouldn't have understood
it
at first.
but they wouldn't have cared, because as long as Cassie was happy, that's what would have been important.
Yeah. But even though you're open to it, it's like, how does this work? So getting to be so close with them and watch them like together, you learn like, wow, the chemistry is pretty amazing.
Do I know any 3 other people that connect like these 3 do? No, I don't.
No.
Wow. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Esther, just before we went into that video, I wanted to add a point.
Yes.
You said if you are not comfortable in a polyamorous relationship, or you shouldn't get into it in the first place. But then again, you can get into this relationship knowing full well what you're getting into. But don't forget that people evolve, their emotions evolve, things change sometimes. There's some elements out there that can trigger a person's willingness to be in a relationship like this, and all of a sudden that person becomes, how can I say, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but selfish in a sense. That person wants to appropriate that particular lover all to her or himself. So that's what I was trying to say with how people evolve.
Then polyamory is not for them, because if that's what happens, then you don't have the ability to that openness and to be able to have an emotional romantic relationship with more than one person. Listen, it is difficult. I can purely understand all the ramifications, but there are also people who are very happy in that type of relationship style, and so that has to be respected as well, like this throuple rather, that we just watched, and how their family was so supportive of them. So there's all sides to this, but it is out there, and it is relationship style that people are practicing, so it should be noted and talked about.
Did you have fun today?
I had a riot. You?
I had a lot of fun. So the whole premise of this is that time flies when you're having fun, right?
Absolutely.
And I have to be the bad guy again. I have to be telling you, Esther, it's time to go.
Oh no,
that was a quickie.
Absolutely. So
Esther, we also have another video, right? So we can.
No, that was the last video, actually.
That was the last video. That's fantastic.
Yes.
So, listen, folks, as usual, you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today and on every show and all your participation. We love you so much. You make the show happen. You make it possible. Hey, just a lot of fun. We're going to be here next week, same time, same place, for another reason, but we'll still be here.
And Robert, tell them about Access Radio.
Access Radio, exactly. We are now available. Now we're out of the box. Our show is available on Access Internet Radio. We urge you every Saturday between noon and 3 p.m. Come and tune in. Come and have fun. Click on the Rock and Chat thumbnail. Come in. Esther, myself, and our wonderful producer, Jenny, are usually there, and we can exchange and have a lot of fun and chat with each other. That's every Saturday between noon and 3 p.m. on accessradio.ca. Esti, thank you so much for being there. Thank you, everybody, for being there. We're going to be seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Ciao for now.